From a skinny fat college dropout to a bodybuilder earning over $10,000 a month. Written off as a failure, he was told that his vision for a new kind of training business was irrelevant.
You know, it's what every parent wants, right? Like the traditional life. You go to college, you get the job. Like I told my mom what I really wanted to do, got laughed at. And I'm just like, watch me.
Today, he runs a completely online business, commands a loyal community of over 30 clients by leveraging two principles most trainers ignore.
There's a lot of my face in the business. Like my business is very much me.
What's the one moment that changed the way you coach forever?
He changed the way I coach because I remember.
In today's episode, Lance is revealing every secret.
Lance, welcome to the ASCENT Podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you both for having me today. It's honestly a pleasure.
Absolutely.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
So, are you familiar with our podcast and kind of how things work?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So, basically, what we do during this whole process, we're going to talk about your business. We're going to talk about some of the creative choices that you made. Then we're going to kind of test you a little bit. Morality, philosophy, just kind of your way of thinking and your system of doing things.
All right.
So, first, we're going to start off with the business questions. I'm the business guy. So, first thing I'm going to ask you is, taking your business fully online and onboarding 30 plus clients is no small feat. What was the single hardest system to nail down? Was it the lead gen? Was it the onboarding? Or was it delivery?
Whew, that's actually a really good question. And my answer to that when it comes to building this entire online business would be the lead gen. I feel my delivery is really excellent. Onboarding clients I really don't have a problem with. It's actually finding the right people for the service that I'm delivering. Obviously, I'm a coach for men 20 to like 25 to 30, just young men who are just trying to get started or are already like plateaued in the gym. People who are driven in the career aspect of life, but they're missing that like physical part of life. Like you can make a lot of money, right? But I feel like what's the point of making so much money if you can't even really move your body like you should? I'm 100% a believer in health is wealth, and like I would rather be like the healthiest person, honestly, and have like a long, fulfilling life than be like bound to a wheelchair and like a multimillionaire.
Right. So it was kind of like your product market fit, right?
Mm-hmm.
What made you come to that decision that that's kind of the demographic that you wanted to target? Was it more so personal experiences?
Mm-hmm. I wanted to work through, 100% like personal experience. I wanted to work with men who are just like me because I've been there and I've done that. I've been stuck in the gym. You know, I've been skinny before. I've gotten fatter before. I've been through those two different zones. So that gives me a pretty good example of like, okay, I know how to gain weight and I know how to lose weight as well. And like, not just lose weight, but you want to lose fat. So that's a skill set. And that takes time and that takes education. A lot of people that have came to me previously have done the exact thing I've done where it's just like, yo, I've done a cut before, but it was a pretty shitty cut and all I had was like a banana and protein shakes. Yeah. And then that's the reason they're hungry. Because I think a lot of people get the cutting phase wrong. Because they think it's like you have to suffer so much for a long period of time. That's not how you should be doing it. You should take your time with it because longer fat loss is meaningful and sustainable fat loss. I would never really recommend a mini cut or something super aggressive to someone who's just like lifestyle, you know, and trying to just build it and be a healthy person because health also translates to your work ethic. So when I work with people who say are trying to find their way in their career, you know, or just are super successful with their business. A big thing is like the way they eat affects the way they think as well. When you move in the morning, especially before work or even after work, it sucks in the moment, but you feel so much better after you actually do that thing.
Right. And I kind of want to revisit something that you said. It was the slow process, right? People just want quick results. Would you say that translates over to business as well?
Oh, 100%, man. Like, I'll be totally real. I've been posting practically every single day, if not like recently twice every single day for the past 2 years. And with maybe like 1,000 followers in growth, you'll have that person who just like, bam, will get lucky or they have one video pop off and all the followers start flowing in and everything. But it's just like, I've been doing this for so long. I've talked to so many people about it, and it's obviously taking a long time for me to get it. But like I was talking about in a previous video, it's okay to suck. And it's okay to not be great at something, because it's constant repetition. And that's why I say, if you are lost in life, go and chase something that takes a long time to master. Whether it's going to the gym, you won't see results until like 8 weeks. I can see people's results after 4, but it usually takes you yourself 8 weeks before you're even like, oh my God, I'm starting to see a change. And usually it takes seeing your before picture and after picture to be like, I didn't even notice that happened. So it's like, you translate that right over to business, and it's like, wow, like I've been DMing 20 people every single day. Wow, like that actually paid off. It's that consistent, boring work that you don't want to do, such as curls in the gym. Some people find it boring, you know, and it's just that constant boring shit that will get you those big biceps, or it's the constant messaging or talking to people, networking, that will net you those clients.
Right. It's in the work that you don't want to do.
Oh, yeah. 100%, man.
All right. Okay. So you mentioned $100 Million Leads.
Yes.
As one of the most influential books for you in your life. What's one unexpected lesson from that book that has directly brought you a new client?
Lead magnet. I think when reading $100 Million Leads, that's such a simple thing of a lead magnet, of something to create your audience, to give them for free. And it's completely free, and it targets their pain point, targets their goal that they want. For example, I made a book on bulking, and I just sent it out for free. It was a very long written book. It was like, had a meal plan, a training program, everything that when it comes to actually bulking. And I even sent it to people who are gunning, because it's like still like a very like knowledgeable book, and it took time. But then you send it out, and you can follow up with people. It's like, oh, well, how's it going? And even when you give someone something for free, they're way more likely to actually join up to your offer.
Right.
Basically
turns a cold lead into a warm one.
Oh, 100%. And especially if you're just talking to someone and they're like, I'm doing pretty fine. It's like, yeah, I can send you this if you need it. And then if you have any questions, it's just like a free thing. It's a gift to someone who doesn't like a gift. And it's a law of reciprocity. Law of reciprocity is like, you give something to someone, they feel obligated to give back.
Right.
Right. 100%.
And you learned that from what book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People.
How to Win Friends and Influence
people. Yeah, no, that book is really good.
Yeah. Walk us like to the process of kind of like making that lead magnet when you were starting it. Like, what gave you the decision of like making that book for bulking? Like, what is kind of like the 3-step checklist that you have to kind of make?
Yeah. So obviously you have a problem. The problem is you're skinny. You've been skinny. I was always, if you rewind to me like 5 years ago, I was a pretty skinny kid, like skinny fat, didn't have muscle, but didn't have abs. And what I would do is, I was like, what's the problem these guys are struggling with? They can't gain weight. So the next thing is like, come up with the process. The solution is these different things. Like, say, for example, would be if you're struggling to get calories in, try to get more liquid calories in. Just because it doesn't really trigger that same response as chewing on like vegetables and eating chicken and rice would. You can down 500 just like that, when it would take you maybe like 20 minutes to actually sit there and eat, especially if you're really struggling with eating. So it's just little tips and tricks like that, and an actual training program to fuel their bulk. Because I don't think a lot of people understand with a bulk, it's like, oh, pound a week, eat whatever you want. And then they literally had to create 2 different names for it, a dirty bulk and a clean bulk. I don't think there should be 2 names for it. It's just like gaining, and gaining at a reasonable pace, like 0.5 pounds per week if you're more advanced, maybe a pound or 2 a month, because there's only so much muscle you can grow. Obviously if you're newer, you can gain a pretty significant amount, and most of it be muscle. Right. Again, like a lot of genetics plays a part in it as well. Right. If you're more advanced like me, you have to take it super slow. Like, if you're like past 3 years of lifting, I don't recommend doing a pretty like aggressive bulk. And again, it's a big problem that I also see with people who are bulking is they have this yo-yo diet structure. And that's why when everyone joins up with me, I have them all go through the same process of tracking everything they eat for a week. Because they're like, I eat 4,000 calories a day. They might eat the 4,000 calories a day, right? And then the next thing you know, bam, they're eating like 1,500 the next day.
Oh, no.
So you just starved yourself, or you just like filled yourself up so much, you're not even hungry that next day. You know, and as soon as we create like a consistent, slow surplus of 150, then you start to see the weight starts to gain. And you'll often hear it. I always hear this with people who are bulking is, oh, I get up to 140 or I get up to like 160 and then I drop back down and then it's up and down. I'm like, I know exactly why. It's because you stuff your face and then the next day you don't eat anything. So creating that structure where it's like, I don't have to stuff my face. I just have to eat a little bit extra every single day, and then it adds up over time to meaningful muscle growth.
Right.
So it's kind of like you looking back at like what you were struggling when you were
Yes.
first getting into it, and then like kind of making a plan of like what would you say for your past version of yourself?
What would I tell my past version? I would say definitely track my food.
Yeah.
If I tracked my food a lot earlier, I feel like I would have seen so much better results, especially even if you're just tracking your protein. I understand, like, people don't want to track. It's tedious, it's tiring, but if you have a specific result, how do you expect to get that result if you can't track the metrics behind it? Obviously, weight is one metric to track. The mirror is even a metric to track, like progress pictures. Tracking your food, though it's a little bit tedious, you can make it easy. You can pre-track days, you know, and you can always have these meals that you know how much they are, and like you can just fall back on it. You can create simple recipes that all you have to do is click a button, it's already in for the day. And I tell them like this: if you're trying to budget, what are you gonna do? You're gonna track your numbers, right? You're not just going to not know what you're spending when you're trying to budget. It's the same principle. Right. You have to see what you're putting into your body. And also, like, as a coach, like, when I was being coached, and yeah, I'm a coach who hired a coach, I was tracking my food for him. It's just like, if you want the results, you got to do what you don't want to do. It's as simple as that. And I think tracking food was something that if I was coaching Lance like 5 years ago, I'd be like, yo, let's start with this many calories. Let's see where you're at. And you would see so much better progress.
I do want to put you through a scenario real quick.
Yeah.
Just kind of see how you would handle that.
Okay.
So your ICP is business owners, people on their game, killing it, right?
Oh, yeah. Younger guys, younger entrepreneurs. I love working with people who are just like driven in any aspect of life.
Right. Have you ever noticed like some difficulties with them in tracking? Like they're so on it, they just feel like they never have the time. Like let's say they're working 18, 19-hour days.
It's an all or nothing mentality. I knew exactly how to answer that. The people who are the busiest, they want to go 0 to 100 super quick, get the best results, and then bam, as soon as life gets busy, they're done. You know, I'll never hear from them again, dude. You know, and it stinks because it's not like that. It's like you're turning off a light switch. That's not how fitness is, you know? It's just like there's times where you can push hard and times where you need to lean back a little bit. And that's completely normal. Some days and some moments and seasons in life, you might need to only work out 3 times a week and call that like the maintenance phase. Say you have a super busy ice cream shop or something. You own an ice cream shop or you own some type of lawn care business. I know the person watching this knows exactly who he is right now. Summer's going to be busy. What do you need to do? You need to pull back a little bit. We did this for one of my clients. He'd go on like 3 to 4 days a week. That's all you need. That's literally all you need. And diet-wise, it's like, I even tell people, buy a meal plan service. Because buying a meal plan service is going to be a lot better because you know the food that you're going to get. Especially if like you go to Wawa or something. Wawa's not inherently a bad place. But people always choose the worst option when it comes to food. And I think people blame fast food all the time. No, the fast food isn't really the problem. It's your decision making. Stop blaming everything on the environment around you. That's just a cope. Everyone loves coping because you can't make the decision to get a grilled chicken salad. You needed 2 breaded chicken sandwiches. You know, I was in a rush. I went to Chick-fil-A and I got a grilled chicken sandwich. Or, sorry, not a grilled chicken sandwich, a grilled market salad with like fruit in it. How many calories was it? 350. That's not bad.
Right.
And I felt full after. I felt great after it. So stop blaming everything around you or every person around you. It is completely your choice of what you do. And that choice is decided and made based on, like, obviously, how bad do you want it is one, and then, like, planning ahead. So, like, you shouldn't usually have that moment of, oh, I'm super starving right now and I forgot to eat this meal or I forgot to prep for the week. A prepared person, when it comes to their meals, they're never going to have to worry because they're like, oh, I just took 1 hour out of my day on Sunday or a couple hours to, food shop, grocery prep. I didn't buy any of that junk that's in the store either. Always shop around the perimeters. That's where you're going to get most of your food. Obviously, I say keep that all out of the house because if it's in the house, you're going to be tempted by it. Say you're craving something. Most of the time, it's out of boredom. You're just tired. That's how I was, especially during prep. And I live with my parents, so they obviously have their snacks and everything. And I would be, and this is my mistake, my personal mistake. I'm not afraid of showing these mistakes because I learned from it. I would be like hungry and I'd be like fishing around and be like, ooh, it's like, what's this? And then I wouldn't track it. And then I'd be like, oh, why didn't I lose a pound? Stupid. Like you were eating and you weren't tracking. And that's another thing people get wrong. If someone hits like a plateau, I'm like, what were you snacking on throughout the day? What were you picking on? Most of them be like, oh, I was picking on some gummies or candy. It's like, that's the reason why. Because it all adds up. That's the thing parents might have is their kid, you're going to finish their leftovers. That adds up. Everything will add up.
Personally, what tracking app do you like recommend for clients coming in?
Yeah, I actually, within the app that I use called Trainerize, I personally use MacroFactor. But when clients join up with me, they have like an all-in-one app system where it's like you can track through Trainerize. Take a picture of your food, you can have barcodes, and they just like, they do it that way. And I also recently started like a meal plan subscription with Trainerize where a meal plan subscription with Trainerize where they give you a bunch of different meals and you can put that as like a guideline or like a standard backup system where if they need recipes or anything like that, they go to their meal plan and they have all of these different days of like, oh, different food ideas, recipes. It gives them a video of how to cook it. That's kind of how we run.
Okay.
Awesome.
So it's basically like an all-in-one solution. Like everything is there, everything's planned out.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
From the start.
Have you ever had like a difficult client absolutely refuses to track calories? Is like, my parents told me it's not healthy to do this, and like I know I can do it without tracking. Like, let's say we remove tracking, right? That's the biggest metric in terms of whether or not you're going to be making progress or not. How would you approach that situation? And I want you to kind of approach it with the situation that you would a business problem.
Of course. So I would initially start asking questions of why aren't you able to track? Why are you coming into this without being able to track? And then I would show them the importance of how you need to track something. Because trust me, I've had clients who have been like this before where they're like, tracking's just like a pain. I can't do it. We've tried everything, still can't do it. Then we have to move to tracking different metrics. There's always going to be some sort of tracking. It doesn't matter. Like, what are you joining into a program and you're not going to do anything? Track your workouts? Then get out. You're not the right person for me if you aren't willing to step outside of that zone and start tracking anything. Because imagine I do a weekly check-in with them and I go to their calendar. Nothing's done. I'm like, I can't help you. Done. Like, I can't help you because you're not doing anything. That's the whole thing. So then we work to track different metrics. Obviously, there's going to be a solution to everything. If you can't track your calories, let's track the food that we're getting in, the different meals. So I would put up habits. Let's get 2 to 3 servings of protein every single day. Check that off for me. Let's get this many servings of fiber, fruits, veggies. Track that off for me. Let's drink a gallon of water. Track that off for me. If you're tracking all that and you're seeing pretty good results, then boom, you don't even need to track your food. Tracking food is just how you get the quickest and, in my eyes, the easiest way of and the most accurate way of getting your results. But you don't have to do it forever. Obviously, once you're done tracking your calories and you hit that goal, you reverse up and then you learn how to intuitively eat. That's the process.
Gotcha.
How about let's go in a scenario where you're a college student and you're eating dorm food and you don't even know what's in that dorm food, right? How would you kind of like approach that client that says, I'm in college, I just eat dorm cafeteria food, I have no money, no time, all that stuff?
Yo, that's actually such a great question because I've worked with so many college kids before and they always say, oh, I got dorm food and dorm food isn't healthy. Yes, you're in a disadvantaged spot, but what I always say, and this is like my version of a complete meal. So you have like incomplete meals of like, say, chicken fingers and fries. That's a freaking incomplete meal. You know, like that's something obviously every dorm is going to, like every dorm cafeteria at college is going to have all that unhealthy stuff. Shit, when I was at a college I was visiting, I saw like a giant sign that said sugar. They're trying to get you addicted. Yeah. They're trying to get you addicted because it brings profit. You know, like obviously that's how the food industry works. Yeah. They want more money. So what I usually say is here's what a complete meal looks like. A complete meal is a protein source. Say most dorms are going to have some sort of clean protein source like grilled chicken, grilled turkey, something like that. Don't come up to me with that bullshit saying you don't have options. You do have options. You're just not looking for the right ones. So protein source. That should make up a pretty sizable chunk of your plate. Another thing I say is like a carb source, like a grainy carb source or starchy carb source, like potatoes, super satisfying. These are going to be like your energy source. Rice, Dave's Killer Bread's always a good one. So whole wheat bread. Obviously, college is probably going to have something like that. Right. Next thing I say is you usually want the vegetable source. So like the leafy greens, romaine lettuce, spinach, some broccoli, all that kind of stuff. That's going to make up a pretty large portion too because it's filling. It's going to make you feel good. You're not going to be too hungry. You're not going to eat a lot of calories because it's high in volume. Next thing, a fruit source. Fruit source, super important. Obviously, fruit contains a high amount of micronutrients, just like the vegetables. And I personally love the taste of fruit. A lot of people I work with are like, oh yeah, I could eat a lot more fruit. Gives you quick energy. Depending on the fruit, obviously, like you have high glycemic and low glycemic fruits. Like a banana is going to give you that quick energy. Like that's my pre-workout. And then say you want like that sustained energy, kiwis, blueberries, blackberries, high in fiber, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll usually say you want some sort of healthy fat source. Be careful with the healthy fat source because it really can add up. Mm-hmm. Fat contains 9 calories per gram, unlike protein, and carbs, which contain 4 calories per gram. So it does add up. So you want to limit the amount of fat we get, but there's healthy sources from plants, even some animal fat. You know, it's like grass-fed ground beef. I think that's pretty, as long as you don't go crazy with the amount of animal fat that you get, it's not going to be terrible, you know, but most of the fat we want will come from unsaturated fats, almond butter, almonds, nuts, all that kind of stuff, olive oil, avocado, one of the fruits that's higher in fat. That's kind of what you want, and eggs. Eggs, honestly, nature's multivitamin. You don't need multivitamin if you take eggs.
I love eggs,
100%. Yeah. So that's what I say most of the time when it comes to college eating, and I've had people have it be like, oh, we have like a Chick-fil-A day or Chipotle, whatever, in their college. I'm like, okay, go for grilled, don't go for breaded. If you go Chick-fil-A, don't get the unnecessary amount of cheese, sour cream. You don't need all this extra stuff.
It's about making
rice, chicken, lettuce. Boom. You just made your Chipotle meal a lot more healthy, even if the sodium is higher.
Yeah. It's all about making those healthy switches, you know? Grilled, instead of fried chicken, grilled chicken. Instead of, fried fish, it's all about making the healthy swaps, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. And if
making the right healthy decisions, because you were saying something about decision making earlier, mm-hmm. especially
all decisions, man.
It's all of health is just decision making. Mm-hmm. In like it teaches you a lot about like business in general. You have to make the right decisions.
It's all time management, man.
Yeah.
So obviously you're very client facing. Right?
Yes, love my clients.
So I'm sure you're very familiar with sales and you have a strong ability to sell. Yeah. So I did want to ask you, a sales script can make or break a deal. How did you turn yours into something that actually felt human and wasn't very scripted and very robotic?
Oh, I love that one. So when it comes to sales, I think an important thing is be you. be your authentic self. Because I don't think having a sales script is a bad thing. But if you're reading it like a robot and you're like, so what's your main problem? Why does this affect you? No one's gonna, you're a robot, dude. You gotta be a person. People, because in a world of AI and technology like this, the one thing that makes a person decide, oh, am I gonna go with the AI coach that's like $50 a month or the online coach that's more than $200 a month? You know, it's gonna be you, and it's gonna be that realness. That's why I always send voice messages to my clients and video messages to my clients, because they know that it's me coming up with this response and not ChatGPT. You know, and kind of roping us back into when I'm on a call with someone, an enrollment call, I spend a lot of time with them. My calls are anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour long now. I don't do 20-minute discovery calls or strategy calls because I like to build out the plan with them, make sure they rock with it. So to kind of go over what a discovery call with me looks like, you join up, talk for a second, you know, just getting to know each other for a minute, and then we set the frame. Tell them what we're going to go over the call. We're going to talk about your problems, where you're at in your journey, where you would like to be, and what the bridge, like what's that gap that you need and why can't you do it. So you go over their problem. Why does that problem affect them? How long have they been dealing with it? What have they tried? And why can't they figure it out by themselves? What's the reason you've been stuck? From there, we kind of switch the topic a little bit, go into like, what's the urgency of this? Is this like, I'll be okay if a few years go by? Or is it I need this right now, or I can't do it any longer?
Right.
Usually when people say it's I can wait a little bit longer, I'm like, then you have no sense of urgency to follow this.
Right.
Come back to me when this is a problem.
Right.
So it's really digging into why is this a problem and what's this affecting. Say I'm 200 pounds overweight. I can't run with my friends, my family. I can't get up the couch. Like, it's affecting me. I'm like sitting down at work. I'm hunched over and it's affecting my work performance. That's urgent. But if it's I just want to get bigger muscles for girls, bro, get the fuck out of here. Like, I genuinely, like, I get it. Look at, like, it can be vain, and I don't think vain goals are a bad thing, but you always need a deeper reason. You know, like, there's no emotion behind your reason. There's no need to buy or invest into any sort of fitness coach. So moving forward, once I get the sense of urgency, we go into their goals. Now this is the fun part of the call, where you get to imagine what, say, from Isaac 1.0 to Isaac 2.0 would look like. It's you go into the dream, like envision, sit down with me and talk to me. How does changing your physique or your health, how does that change every other aspect of your life? You know, because when I'm leaner, I feel more confident. I get more done. I feel great. You just have that more awake feeling. When I'm heavier, I'm like I'll just like sit here and like breathe. Like, that's not health to me.
Right.
You know, there is a thing where it's like you get too big and it's just like, nah. It's like I think being lean is like honestly the way to go, and then you just gain like smaller over time. Like, of course, having a higher body fat percentage, I think it's necessary, especially in bodybuilding. Like, you gotta build for long periods of time. But for a general person, being lean, being able to breathe, having good cardiovascular health and strength, that's what really matters, right?
Right.
So once we get the goal, I kind of run them through some qualifying questions. These qualifying questions are like, okay, you need to be like my top 3 best performing clients. Or like, what do I really want to work with you? You know, it's like, you have to be coachable. You have to be willing to take my advice and be able to change what you've been fundamentally doing pretty much your entire life, right? And then second is like, you have to be able to communicate with me. If you can't communicate with me, I'm sorry. It's just like, I can do all I can, but we have to meet right in the middle. And if something's not working, talk to me. Let's hop on a call. I literally just messaged a client I haven't heard from in like maybe a week. And that's where I'm like, yo, what's going on? Let's talk. Let's figure it out. And I always say, you told me at the beginning you would communicate with me. What's going on? You throwing money at someone just so you can sit and like not do anything? Come on. Like, that's what I always say. And then they're like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like, what am I doing? So then like the next thing would be we go over these qualifying questions like, can you do this? Like, are you able to? And they're like, yeah, I got you, coach. Then we go into the plan building section. I'm like, based on everything they told me, it's different for everyone, obviously. To say they're like going out to eat, I'm like, okay, meal wise, I'm gonna have you track everything for a week. This is the process I get everyone going through. You join up, you track for a week. I see what you're doing, and I see how your weight fluctuates. So they need to have a scale. They need to be able to track roughly what they're eating, so I can have an idea, even if it's not accurate. I just say like, yo, take a picture of what you eat, explain what it is. I go over, review it with them a week later in a nutrition planning call. Boom, I set up their workout plan, and I set up their nutrition plan. Whether they need more calories, less calories, it's all decided on their goal and how exactly they're eating, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
So once we run through the plan, I'm like, how do you feel about this plan? On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like, oh, like I'm so in, Lance, and 1 being like, fuck you, Lance, I'm done. I'm done with this shit. Like, I don't want to ever talk to you again. Never gotten a 1 before, thank God.
That's good.
So once we get to that point, they tell me. And then I'm like, anything else besides the investment? If they're below an 8, I'm like, what brings you to it? Like, why a 7? 7's good, but I want you at a 10. I like working with 10s. And then they're like, this thing, and say it's a part of the plan. And then they start to give you the objection before you tell them the price.
You basically are kind of asking them, like, what would get you from a 7 to a 10?
Yeah.
You're basically asking them to kind of sell themselves.
Yeah, it's like, what can I do to get you higher? And they're like, well, pause. Higher is crazy. What can I do to bring you to a 10? And they would answer, be like, I don't think I can do 5 days a week workouts. Perfect. 3 days a week work? Yeah. Does that bring you to a 10?
All right.
Hell yeah. Perfect. Anything besides the investment? Nope. And then you tell them, again, you kind of reframe. It's like, hey, like here's what the investment is.
Right.
This is what in-person coaches would usually charge, because I like to tell people, like, in-person coaching, expensive, so we kind of bring the ceiling high, and then I go in, tell them my price, be like, this is what it is for 12 or 16 weeks, and they're either in or they object, which is common. Objection, like, when you're spending like over, I would say, $600 on a call, that's a big decision, and I get it. I really do get it, because I've been in that position before too. I'm like, ooh, that's a hurt to the wallet. So then you're like, okay, like, what do you need to think about? Oh, it's just like, I think it's the price. So it's just the price. There's nothing else. If there was anything else, if it was free, you would join up. Oh, 100%. Okay, so is it like, do you have the money, or is it like, and you're not sure if you're willing to spend it, or is it you don't have the money and we need to work on, like, how can I do this? So it's like a should I versus how could I. And then if it's like a should I, you go into it because there's a different objection there. They have the money, they're just not sure if it's worth it. That's a completely other thing that you need to tackle. And you should make sure that it's not
They should never get to that point.
Once you're at that point, it's a lot. You're digging yourself out of a hole.
Yeah.
If they're like, I just have to figure out how I can come up with that kind of money, right? And it's just like, okay, like, how is it okay if I talk about, like, what's coming in versus what's going out per month? You get their position, so I can help you. It's not like I'm digging into your wallet, Right. It's just like, I want to know so I can make the best decision for you. Once they tell me, I'm like, okay, I really don't think this can happen. Or I'm like, what if we broke this down into 2 or 3 payments? And they're like, oh, I can do that. I can 100% do that. And then, boom, collect the payment, get them onboarded, make sure they're feeling good about the process, and then
send them on their way.
Yeah, give them an excellent program. Change their lives.
And the one thing I will say is, especially with a lot of people in the fitness industry, I feel like everybody gets such a bad rep just because a lot of times, like, they get these, like, cookie cutter programs, or like they're so, like, basically hard sold into it, and after it they kind of really regret their decision. But one thing I do want to give you props for is, like, I can tell that when you're in the process of doing it, you're making it about the client. And if you look at any successful business, whether that comes to Red Bull, Coca-Cola, any of these titans, what are they? Jeff Bezos says it all the time: customer centric, focus on the customer.
100%. Like, and I'll tell it like this: when people, like, scoff at my prices, I tell them, okay, if you want a $50 coach, you're going to get McDonald's level results. You know, if you want a 200 plus a month coach, you're getting like a fancy like steak ribeye. You're going to a nice restaurant with your family. You're getting like the good stuff. If you want McDonald's, I can refer you to McDonald's level coaches where they'll give you a plan. They won't talk to you. It'll be cookie cutter and get into a billion other people for $50 a month. You'll hear from them maybe once a week with some dry response. Like, this isn't a game for me. This isn't some side income. This is my profession and it's my career. I take it extremely seriously. If someone's not doing well, on it right away. I take this extremely seriously, so that's why I'm not some $50 a month coach. This is my job, and I'm gonna make sure I change your life no matter what. And if you don't, like I've given people free months before, I'll do it again. You know, like this isn't just about the money for me. It's about making an impact in people's lives. I know one day, sure, like I will be well. I'll do well with the money and everything. Cool. But right now, it's get as many people results, get my name out there, and be known as someone who just provides a great service for their people. That's my job on this planet. That's my purpose here. I was put on here to spread fitness and health, and I'm going to do that in every single way possible.
I love that.
That's beautiful, man.
Thank you, bro.
So, beyond revenue and client count, what's the one metric that gives you complete confidence your business is on track?
Churn rate. Who's leaving? Like, what's the rate of people leaving versus joining? If you have a lot of people leaving, your service sucks. And if you don't have a lot of people joining, then you just gotta get better with your marketing and lead gen and all that kind of stuff, all that other outside work. But dude, if you build up people, my renewal rate is over 65-70%. So most people that join up with me for the 12 weeks, most of them are going to join up for probably 6 months. Okay. And that's just because you provide such a great service. Why, you plan it out. And people who usually leave after 12 weeks, I'll be honest, not everyone's going to do a great job. And it stinks. But you point out, it's just and I would always feel so bad if someone would leave without getting the best results in the world. And they would be like, yo, your coaching was excellent, it's my fault. I've never had someone come to me and say, yo, you're a horrible coach. I've had some pretty rough feedback before, yeah. But it's just yo, feedback's how you grow. Absolutely. Take that and run with it. Because she was a nice client. I find when I work with really older people, above 50, it gets a little bit difficult for me because I haven't been there. It's hard to relate because I have worked with people who are older. A lot of them actually do amazing, but at the same time, it's hard for me because I can't relate to that. So that's why I like working with people within my age range. I'm a lot better and educated in how to help them a little bit more. Right. But yeah, it's just if you have people staying in your program, it's telling you something. It tells you that you care. It tells you that you're a good coach, and then you only need a few sign-ons a month to make your revenue goal. Okay. And it's just I love just training the same people. I don't really have to go out and really hunt too much because I already have a lot of people who are staying. Because I've had people with me, honestly, almost since I started. And it's just crazy. You just because a lot of coaches, they don't build that relationship. Okay. I build a relationship. So would you say? I know people are gonna say it's not professional, but I know about my clients' relationships and what they're going through, mentally and stuff. It's I know that's not really in line of what I'm supposed to do as a coach, is become their friend. But I think as a coach, it's you help them in every other aspect of their life too, because it's that's the beautiful thing. You spend every day with these people, talking to these people. Make sure that they know you. Make sure you know them. Make sure you know their not their family. I feel that's too far, but just get to know them. Get to know they're deeper than just their fitness goals, and then they'll love you. So would you say that's been the biggest, I guess you can say, tactic that's helped you reduce that churn rate? Is just creating a relationship? Oh yeah, and an excellent service. Got it. People won't leave if you create community, as well. I do group calls. I have a whole community app. Everyone communicates. It's cool. They'll talk without me even saying a word, and it's just it's great because now you're it's a sense of belonging. It's not just a one-to-one thing. It's one with many, and you're making friends. I've had people like make connections literally within my group. I work with a realtor. He's like helping if anyone needs a realtor in my group or whatever, or someone I coach, I'm like, Cameron, you know who you are, Cameron. You know, it's like he's the guy to go to.
Right.
You know.
Shout out to Cameron.
Now we're on to the creative.
Yes. So a new client comes in wanting a custom program. Walk us through the first week of that. What's the key data points do you gather to design it just right for them?
Okay, so that's a good question. First of all, it comes to their goals. Do they want to build muscle? Most of the people coming to me, just because of the way I market, are coming to build muscle. So I already have different templates laid out of like, okay, here's this type of split, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times a week split. So what I do is I go into a template and then I kind of get their first limitations. What are limitations that you have in your work environment? Say a gym. Your gym doesn't have this machine, boom, substitute it for this. And then we go to also, like, I'm a big proponent of like enjoying your workout. So another thing that I'll usually add is exercises that they just like. I'm like, what exercises do you usually enjoy? And I'll add those in so that you're having fun in the workout. You're obviously trying new things. But it's always important to stick to the basics and do things that you also really enjoy, you know, even if it's not very effective. It just makes it fun. Next thing I would say is keeping it like very, again, simple and to the basics. Like, a lot of people want fancy stuff, but fancy stuff isn't what brings the best results. It's the boring things week to week that like you grind through that really make the difference. And then obviously like injuries and stuff is a big one. If they're injured, we need to make a switch. You know, I had a client who tore his ACL and his hamstring and all this other stuff, and it just like wasn't good. So change his program. Bam. Give him like a push pull rest. Bam. It's like you just fix that and make sure there's exercises that aren't putting too much weight, so seated. All that kind of stuff. And then especially for like my bodybuilding people, it's like stimulus to fatigue ratio is a big one. I'm not going to give someone whose main goal is like muscle building like heavy 3 set of like 5 or 3 sets of like 3 deadlifts. You know, that's too taxing for what their goal is. I would give them like RDLs for like, you know, 6 to 8, something like that. So definitely giving them more bodybuilding tension, like high tension in a stretch position focused exercises that obviously like will build the most muscle for them, you know. And then when it comes to cardio really depends. I just try to give them a general step count. Introducing cardio will kind of just make them a little at first, so raise their steps, get them walking, moving more throughout the day, and then you can add designated cardio and just be like, this isn't for fat loss, this is for cardio health. Cardio for health is drastically underrated. Cardio for fat loss is drastically overrated.
So at the end of the week, what metrics do you watch out for to see how the client is doing in terms of progress and what they need to do in terms of next steps?
End of week is just, are you tracking your workouts? Because that's honestly like what matters the most. And then I would say end of month is when we really check the workouts of like, okay, did you progress? Or did you do the same thing as last week? And I had a client, and he came to me. He's like, "Oh, I thought like because the number of what you did last week is displayed right by what you're doing in your workout. So it'd be like you did this last week, and he thought that was me telling him what to do. And he goes, "This is getting easy." And I was like, "No, like this is what you were supposed to do." And obviously, like it's a mistake, you know. You move on, but I do have a welcome video that displays like, okay, this is what you need to do each week. This is progressive overload. This is what you should chase. Double progression. Reps come first, then weight comes. You know, and then obviously rate of perceived exertion. That gets harder over time. You're going to have your first phase not be too high of an RPE, and then you gradually raise up until you're in a high RPE phase, which means like you're training super hard.
Can you explain what that is real quick for people that don't know?
Yeah, so rate of perceived exertion is literally like, it's on a 1 to 10 scale. So the opposite of is RIR, which is reps in reserve. So I just use RPE because I've been using RPE for so long. RPE is how many reps do you have like left, or how hard did you train to how many reps you have left. So say you're at an RPE of 7. You stop that set thinking, and it's perceived exertion. You can't be 100% on it. The only thing that's 100% is failure, because you know you failed. But say you do an RPE of 7 for your first set. You have about 3 reps in you. RPE 8 on your second set, you have about 2 reps in you. RPE 9 on your last set, or RPE 10, 1 to 0 reps. And then RIR is the opposite. So it's like RIR of 1, you had 1 rep left. RIR of 2, you had 2 reps left. In general, you don't want to be training below an RPE of 7.
Does your workout plan changes depending on the body type of like the specific client?
Body type,
like let's say like a client comes in, I don't know what it's
He's
called.
talking about that old method that people used to classify as like mesomorph, ectomorph, endomorph.
Yeah, that kind of method.
Their diet will be more affected, I would say, rather than their training. I feel like training is pretty standardized between body types. Obviously, if you're too fat to, like, too overweight to fit into a machine, then we need to change something. Or if you're uncomfortable during an exercise, we can change something. But in general, my training is going to be the same whether you are, like, you know, a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, or like a mesomorph. You know, like, I feel I might have like a little bit more emphasis on building muscles that they want to work on. Say like an ectomorph who's like skinnier. Like, they might want a wider build, so lats and delts and the quad sweep, that's stuff that we would work on for sure.
In fitness, patience is everything. Alberto Nunes once said, "Longer preps unveil the greatest results." It's a reminder that the real magic doesn't come in weeks, it comes in months, sometimes years. How do you take that same long game philosophy you give to your clients and apply it to build your brand, your content, and your legacy?
Yeah, of course. So I don't think fitness is a race. I think it's a marathon. And I'm going to use Ben as an example, as like one of my guys that I got on stage. He was like a 26 to 28 week long prep. You know, that's pretty long. But I'll pop a picture of him on the screen. This was his result. And this is his first show. You can see the conditioning that he brought to the stage. And I honestly believe it's because we chipped away over a long period of time. We used diet breaks. Sure, like, yeah, it sucks, but it's like it's almost like a lifestyle. I don't think suffering for prep for like 12 weeks, I think you could lose like a pretty significant chunk of muscle too if you're not careful, you know? So I think taking your time, because at some point the look on the number on the scale doesn't even change. What changes is the look. And in a video that I watched by Alberto was like his legs were going crazy and there was no change on the scale. It was just like you let it marinate. You know, like you get to the point and it's just like chipping away at the tiny pieces. Because if you lose a pound by like that point where like you're already like 6% body fat, you're losing a pound of muscle. You don't really have that much fat left to lose. So taking your time with it, letting it marinate is like what I would like to call it. In a fat loss phase is going to yield you better results, even if it's a little longer. And that kind of just comes from everything, you know, spend more time in your bulking phases, you know, until you get to the point where if you have serious food aversion, your training sucks, pump sucks, sleep sucks, you feel just like tired all the time. That's why I started to cut, just to kind of give myself that reset. But hey, I would have stayed in it longer if that meant like more muscle, you know?
Yeah, and like you were saying, it was just taking that time with like each client and taking that time to get to know the client does yield the best results in a lot of cases, because at the end of the day, they're tethered to you. They actually want to work with you, and they trust you as an authority within their journey.
And I take pride in this, and I love it. It's like every client that I've talked to, they've been able to maintain their weight that they lost. Even if it was only like 20 pounds, they kept it off. And that's one thing that you don't see very often. They'll be like, I worked with a coach, but I gained it all back. So I teach you not just how to lose it, but how to keep it off. You know, and that's the real important thing, is you're able to keep that weight off. That's something I pride myself on, because now they know how to do it without me, you know?
So my next question is, how has mastering the deep technical side of your craft given your business an edge in online coaching?
I would say just like knowing what to do when people hit plateaus. There's a lot, because plateauing is such a common thing that happens, and if you don't know how to handle it, like bad things are going to come out of it. You know, it's like
it makes or break. Like
yeah,
your journey,
it really
right?
does. So you need to know how to handle all these different situations, and that comes from studying them and figuring out an experience, especially like say this thing worked for this client but didn't work for this client. Like everyone's bodies are so different, so you need to come up with the different strategies and be willing to use them on your clients. And if they don't work, tell them it's okay. This is expected. Or your body's just different. Your body works different. Some people are super sodium sensitive, so they go out for a cheat meal and they spike weight. And they're like, fuck, how did I gain so much weight back? Well, it's just water and it's just like carbs. Like, don't worry about it. Just return back to normal eating and you'll be just fine. So it's like some people aren't sodium sensitive at all. Some people will eat like out and they'll drop a pound. So it's like so many different things that goes into it. I would say it's like you need to know your client's body. It's very individual. You know, there's always like there's science and then there's just like practice. You know, it's just like getting to know these people and how they work and knowing your client's individual body. You know, like that's what really matters.
Can you walk us through a scenario, kind of like a client hitting a plateau for the first time, and how did you use that technical aspect to kind of make a plan to get out of the hole that he's in?
Yeah, so say a client who's dieting isn't seeing weight loss and they're getting really frustrated. There's a few different things we can do. Is like, one, are you hitting your calories? Hitting your calories is obviously like, I asked, or is your tracking accurate and everything? If it's accurate, I'm like, okay, cool. Let's move on to like, what do we need to do next? Some people, they just need like a double refeed of like 2 days at higher calories. They're feeling, because if they're feeling super hungry and stuff like that, like their training is going to suck, everything's going to suck. So what I would usually do there is like a diet break. So a diet break, cool, you give them a week at maintenance calories, they're feeling good, bring the calories back down. Some people might just not be seeing the weight loss, but they feel pretty great. From there, I always do like a minus 250, like bump down in calories. So that's what that would usually look like, to give you like a weight plateau example.
Awesome. Can you share a time a client wasn't getting results? Walk us through the system you used to turn them around.
Good question. So I have a client and he's like in school and everything. And like there's different clients, like business owners and people like that I've struggled with, where like they just like cannot maintain consistency, right? So it's like, how do we get past this? So what we usually call that is my clients are in a red light situation. So you have a green light, yellow light, red light. When they're in a red light, their check-in form pops up and they can book a call with me. So when we book the call together, it's like quick. It's we kind of hash out what the main problem is and how we can move forward. You know, because it's communication. That's how you solve every problem. And then if they need it, what I usually like to do is like say like a weekly call or something like that, where we jump on, make sure they're doing okay, and like just give them extra attention. Let them text me instead of just like message me over Trainerize. So like give them everything that I can to make sure they get back into the yellow or the green light zone, and then they're pretty good moving forward.
Awesome. So it's more of kind of like you're trying to almost set a definite task breakdown.
And
right?
again, they have to do it. I've had people who like just haven't. Like I would start up my 11 a.m. meeting with the person, they just don't show up. You know, so it's like, what else can I do for you?
Yeah, you're usually just thrown a scenario and you're just kind of having to make quick decisions to solve the problem.
Yeah,
right?
you can do everything, and it's a lot of mindset too. It's like, what happens if you don't do this, dude? Like, are you going to be happy with yourself if you keep running around in circles and not following the shit that you paid for? You know, it's like you invested into yourself. Why are you continuing to invest and not doing anything? I just like can't comprehend. And I've been like this too, you know, like my business coach was like, Lance, you spent this much on me. Why are you not doing what you need to do? Like, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, you know, you're right. So started doing what I needed to do ever since the beginning of the year. And I've reaped all the benefits from it.
You're not afraid of like even dropping clients if they're not like, you know, doing the program that you're setting up for them, right?
I don't want to drop people who are paying me, you know, because they're still paying me. It's my job as a coach to still try to get them the results. So I haven't dropped anyone. I've always tried to help them the best that I could.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna be moving on to like the philosophy aspect of the podcast.
I love philosophy.
Scaling to 200 clients is one thing. Keeping the soul of personalization is another. How do you plan to do both?
Personalization and the soul, keeping that in the business.
Yeah.
I mentioned it earlier, but I send voice messages. I check up with them. I do group calls. There's a lot of my face in the business. Like, my business is very much me. You know, I am my own brand. I am what keeps it running. You know, so in order to make it very personalized, it's like everyone gets different responses. You know, like, obviously I have an FAQ sheet and everything like that, give them all the resources, but it's a very individual experience. You know, like, you have the community, but you're also doing your own goals and everything. So when they do a check-in, I get back to them either a voice message or a video message. And like, sometimes obviously they won't watch it. So I know people who respond better with the voice messages because you just click and listen. But I love sending the video messages because it gives me time, even if it's like 10 minutes per person, like, it's still like a good amount of time I'm spending on someone, making sure that they're moving forward and letting them hear my voice, letting them see my face, letting them know that it's actually Lance Parker responding to them and not a robot.
I love that. Especially with AI. Like, can you talk about that a little bit? What you've kind of seen in the industry and like how you kind of plan to combat against that?
Yeah, so AI is definitely taken over. I'm not really afraid, honestly, if I'm being super transparent about it. Like, yes, there's AI, like calorie tracking, AI meal plans, AI workouts and everything like that. So there's apps and everything that are so much cheaper. But the thing is like, a robot won't really like call your phone or text you personally, or know who you are and what you like and what you do, you know. So it's just like, with a coach, you're paying for the person as well. There's many coaches out there, and it's like, the market's saturated. Well, the market's saturated in a place where everyone's the same, right? So when you stand out and you're different and you preach about like the things that you preach about, you know, like, I'm anti-restrictive diet, I'm all for men's mental health, and I'm like hypertrophy focused training. Those are like my three main things, right. You know. So when you stand by something and you're about it and you're authentic with it, that's the thing right there. That's like what matters. You know, that's what will separate you, and that's how I combat against it. Is like, my marketing is like, you know, I'm a real person. You know, I struggle too. Like, AI doesn't really struggle. You know, so it's like, you connect with someone who goes through the same struggles as you do. That's what really matters right there. Right. Is the human effect in it.
And you mentioned one of those 3 pillars being men's mental health. Can you kind of elaborate on that? Like, why that's such a huge aspect for you?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't lie if I didn't struggle or didn't think I was enough sometimes as a guy. And what a lot of guys do is they shelter their thoughts and they don't tell anyone. And again, like, this is all coming from my own personal experiences. Like, I wouldn't want to tell people if I'm struggling because I was embarrassed. And you're always like, oh, it's the man's job to not be, I guess, emotional or emotion based. Yeah. Which, like, I'm not really for that, because I think men have the right to talk about. It's like, why is like a men's suicide rate high? It's because they don't get to talk to anyone. So I'm like, I'm all for like giving your bro a hug, or just like even just checking up on your bro or something like that. Obviously, like, the people that matter in your life, and it's just like, you never know what a guy's going through really, because most of the time they're not going to talk about it. So you gotta dig, you gotta pry. And what I want to tell people is like, it's okay to not be okay as a dude. And you can talk about it, because ever since I started talking to people, it doesn't even have to be therapy. I'm all for therapy, but I don't do it. But it's just like, you don't have to hide these struggles just because it's society's role as a man to hide those struggles. Right. Like, talk about it, be open about it. I'm open about my own mental struggles, dude. I have that constant feeling of like, I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, I'm far behind, and obviously like, that body dysmorphia behind it. So I talk about that. And I'm vulnerable about that, because like, yeah, certain things I wish I was much further ahead, but it's just like, It's only so much you can do, right?
Same here. Honestly, I'll be open. The reason I'm like kind of like looking at Danny is because, you know, I'm definitely one of those people that's hard on themselves that doesn't have the best way of communicating with it. And maybe that's just the way that, you know, we're brought up or just the kind of the way things are. But I think it's super important to talk about it. And I think it's important to have a circle of people that you can trust and talk to.
Totally.
Yeah, I tell him all the time, like it's better to talk about it rather than let it fester in. Because I feel like as men, we just let it all bottle up.
And it'll always come out in the worst way possible. Or you'll bottle it up, and then it'll end up
explosive, dude.
Yeah.
It gets extremely explosive. And, like, that's, like, the thing. Like, I'll be talking to my girlfriend, I'll tell my problems, and then it's, like, you get that reassurance that, like, okay, like, I can now celebrate. You know, I can be in the moment and be happy. But there's a fine line, I think, between being happy and celebrating and being content. I think people are successful for a reason. It's because they're not content with where they're at. And that's not a problem, but it's a problem once you're, like, shitting on yourself. And I would do that. I was like, you know, say, like, hit a 10K month, and I just kind of, like, stared at the screen. It's like you hit a goal that you wanted for so long, and you hit that goal. And it's just, like, in a way, it's, like, almost an empty feeling. Like, I expected this goal to feel so much better. Like, I don't feel, like, any different. You know, I don't feel like this is like a crazy goal that I just hit. And then it's just like on to the next one. You know, it's on to the next, like, okay, like how do I get to 20? How do I get to 30 and 40 and 50? It's just like, when is the point where you'll finally, or when I'll be finally satisfied with, like, I guess, like, what I'm doing, or how many people that I'm training, how many clients I have. You know, it's just like, it's a constant, oh my God, like, I need to do better. 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 And it's just like, yo, let's relax for a second. Let's be mindful. Let's enjoy the air. Let's enjoy outside in the sun, and then just, like, hanging out with your friends. Let's enjoy not working for once.
I definitely want to say on top of that, it does, like, you should definitely feel fulfilled because you've helped so many clients, like, get success in terms of, like, their fitness journeys. Something that's very hard to do. You know, it's very hard to, like, find time to actually really care about your health. And I feel like what is, sometimes we are all about the destination, right? We want to get to this, like, big goal, 10K a month, having these cars, having these houses that we want. But I think what's more fulfilling is that you made a difference in someone's life. And even if it was just one, you made a difference in someone.
Is there, like, someone that sticks out to mind when you think about, like, I really made a difference in that person's life? Like, you don't have to share.
Yeah, no, I actually, I do have one. And I haven't been working with her for very long, but she came to me and she showed me her blood work. And, like, this was a very urgent person who, like, needed a change, you know, and just, like, my family genetics, it's like I feel like I'm, like, killing myself, you know, like, I don't know how to do this the right way. And we've been working together maybe 12 weeks almost now, and she did her blood work again, and wow, like, almost everything went back into a normal range. There's, like, one more thing that's a little high, but it's just like we were able to fix that, you know, and we're continuing to be able to fix that. And though, you know, she's still like, I wish they were lower, but at the same time, to me, it's just like, we made a big impact, and we completely changed your blood work through health, diet, and exercise that you didn't think you would be able to do. You almost just, like, accepted that it was going to be like that because of genetics, you know? And it's just like, that's the kind of work that I feel is, like, deeper and more important than just, like, losing your love handles, you know? It's like, you just changed someone's blood work to be healthier, and now they're going to be a lot healthier. You know, they're going to live longer now, and it's because we made that change. That's a specific example.
Thank you for sharing.
She's probably going to know who she's going to know I'm talking about her.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask you one more thing, since we're reflecting already. Before the business, before the clients, what was the one moment that made you fall in love with this path? The moment that still drives your why today?
There's always the why of like, I told my parents that like I was gonna drop out of college, and they were like no, we don't, like we support you, you know, like they were fine with it, but they were like you should go back to college, you know, like you know, it's what every parent wants, right? Like the traditional life of like you go to college, you get the job, and boom, 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 you know. But like I told my mom what I really wanted to do, and I was just like, just got laughed at, you know. I was like literally like we just started laughing. So like that's always a reason why, because that's one thing that sticks with me, and it's just like having someone who just like laughed, and like I've been told to my face by older people too, it's just like you'll never be successful like that, and I'm just like, watch me, you know. So it's like, in my eyes, if you have the wrong people or the right people who really like don't see it happening for you, that could be a very strong reason why. And like, I'm grateful, yes, but it's like that's still a moment that was like, damn, you know, like you just want me to go back to college, you know. So that's one thing. And I guess like another reason, like when it comes to the business side of things, like that really like engraved my why is just like client testimonials, creating. There's like really no one specific moment that really like stands out. Like seeing my clients go on stage, talking to them in a group call, like those are all like reasons why, you know. It's just like these are real people, and you're making a real impact in their life, you know.
It's just like the little things that keep.
Yeah, it's all the little things. There's not really one crazy why. It's just like, this is my purpose, you know. It's just like that is my reason why. It's like I need to, and like family wise, like I need to take care of my family when I get older, you know. I need to be able to make sure my wife doesn't worry about a roof over her head or food on the table or bills or anything like that, you know. Like those are all reasons why that keep me going, because it's like it's not just about you at this point, you know. And that's like what a lot of guys think in their 20s is like, it's just me, like who cares. But then like you get to the 30 and like you realize you wasted your 20s doing bullshit when you should have been working and creating something so that your family never has to worry about anything ever again. That's my main goal. So like I don't want really crazy amounts of things from life. Like obviously I do want nice things, but like what I want is nice experiences and like a long, healthy life. That's what I really want.
It's kind of freaky that I swear I've said the same exact thing verbatim. Like, it's funny, I relate a lot to you, and that's why I'm like looking off, because it's like, I swear you're saying the exact same things that I'm thinking all the time. It's like, and I tell Danny, I'm like, dude, I got to make sure my parents are good, that, you know, we're taken care of, there's food on the table, roof over our head. And you know what? I feel like that's kind of the good thing. And that's the common trait I've noticed with people that end up kind of reaching any sort of level of success. It's usually not a lot of the time selfish. Because I feel like being selfish can only get you so far. But when you have that why that keeps pushing you, like this is for my kids or this is for my family, that's when real success comes.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the world is full of nice things, and it's easy to get lost in a lot of materialistic value, which I'm not even gonna lie, like yes, like I do want nice things, you know. I think it's like a visual representation, like a materialistic representation of what you worked so hard for, you know. And like there's a limit to how like what like nice things that I want. Obviously, like I just like right now it's just like a car. I don't even need like a super nice house or like a watch, really. It's just like I just like want a nice car, and that's like my main goal, you know. But then it comes to just being financially free, going on trips, traveling, all that kind of good stuff.
Y'all are like the same person. It's so funny.
It's we actually have like a mood board up here with like all the experiences and like the things we want to do, and kind of like
I have a
It's not filled yet, but you know it's gonna get there.
I have a whole like dream board that I have on my laptop. Like I open it up every single day and I see it,
Same.
you know. And other things, like a reason why is I want to be a pro bodybuilder, like a pro natural bodybuilder. That's driving me to go to the gym every day and eat every day, you know.
It's your bigger why.
Yeah, dude. Life is full of experiences, and I want to experience it all because I feel like I didn't experience much as a kid.
Mic drop. What's the one moment that changed the way you coach forever? That stumped him.
So I had a client. He was one of my best guys, actually. His name was Robert. And Robert, this one's for you, bro. He changed the way I coach, because I remember I was giving him like a workout plan that I thought was the best, and like basically giving him the stuff that I thought was the best for him, instead of really listening to what he wanted, like what his main goals were. And that's where my perspective from I'm going to put you on what I do changed to I'm going to put you on what you need. That really shaped a lot of things for me, and like completely changed my outlook on coaching was Robert, because he was straightforward, man. He told me how it was. He gave me honest feedback. And yeah, he's one of the greatest people I coach. I'm pretty sure he lost over 40 pounds.
Wow.
He kept it all off. He's still working out to this day. I'm pretty sure he even got some friends of his into working out. Like, and he's still like a good friend of mine, you know, like he's a very good friend. It's just like that changed my perspective, and I'm very grateful, because now I feel moving forward I became such a much better coach, because he was one of my first online clients, you know. He's with me for a while, and like we got him to his goal, and yeah, that's just like it made me learn that it's like it's not always about what I want for the client, it's about what they want. Even if I can give them my feedback, it's like, yo, stop telling them what I want them to be like, and start work with them where they're at, essentially.
Yeah. So basically, in summary, you learned that you needed to be more of a guide for the client, rather than like saying, I'm the hero, I know what's best. You make the client the hero, and then you're guiding them through their journey, to their own story of their health.
Everyone wants different things. Like, most people don't want to become a bodybuilder, you know, so stop training them and dieting them like a freaking bodybuilder, you know. So it's just like you got to meet with those clients and like who they want to be. Like I said, like they're the hero of their own journey. I'm not the hero coming to save them. I'm here to guide them and make them the best version of who they want to be. That's how it is.
I got one more question for you. If all your Instagram, all your social media, all your books, all the info that you had was gone, what would be the one thing you would tell yourself?
Just like all my accounts got deleted.
Everything was wiped tomorrow.
Yeah, I just start over, you know. I wouldn't know the reason why it got wiped. Obviously try to recover it, but if it can't be recovered, you start over, you know, and you create a new audience. Get everyone to kind of like literally start from the bottom. As much as it sucks, like you gotta do it like that. Or
I meant more so in like a philosophical way. Kind of like if everything was wiped, right? Like the knowledge of bodybuilding, the knowledge of, you know, social media, everything. Like everything was gone tomorrow. Like what would you tell yourself? What's your guiding philosophy in life?
Just like on to the next. You know, just look forward instead of backward. Look into the future instead of dwelling over the past. Like, if I couldn't change anything, so that's my thing. Is like recently what I've been working on is trying not to be upset over things that I can't change. So once you get upset over things that you can't change, it's like that's your energy. That's your valuable, precious energy that's going towards something that you can't do anything about, so why worry? So that's what I'm really focusing on, is just like put your energy towards the things that you can change, you know. So if everything got wiped out and if like I just became a skinny bitch again, I'd start over and just like work to get better again.
Lance, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure.
Both of you. Pleasure meeting you in person, bro.